Hey guys, Kunimitsu here. I'm going to be doing a different video this time around. This time, I'm going to be speculating the future of the DLC characters that were introduced in DOA 5. Specifically, the characters that were introduced as DLC, not the ones that were introduced as part of the main story. And as you can tell from the character I'm using, I will be discussing Phase 4's possible future in this video. Now, with that said, I am not confirming anything in this video. None of this is confirmed. This is just all my personal opinion, my speculation, and what I think she could potentially be in future installments. Now, Alpha 152, if you paid attention to the story mode, was finally destroyed. Or at least it looked like she was destroyed. And then Phase 4, she's another Kasumi clone. And she played a very minor role in the story, but she showed up in one cutscene. So I have a feeling in the very next game, she will play a bigger role than she did in this game. And I have a feeling if she's set up to be evil, because in this game she's set up to be very morally ambiguous. You don't know what she is. But if she is set up in the next game to be evil, then she has a very strong chance of being the next final boss. And I think they can do a lot with her. In this game, she got to shine. She wasn't really that different from the regular Kasumi in terms of gameplay, but I think they can improve very greatly on her. So I have a feeling that is what they are going to do. If she takes the evil route, she will be the final boss. But if she takes the other route, which is good, then she will very likely be a character in the story who is the main focus, who is trying to figure out where her role in life is, what she is meant to be, what her purpose is. That's the only lines of dialogue that she seems to give off so far, and if they continue that route and don't make her a villain in the next game, then I have a feeling she will very likely be assisting Kasumi rather than fighting her, and she will be the one that would help her take down the final boss if it isn't her. You see, there's not really a lot of information to go off of with Phase 4, because she's not given a lot of information. She's kept very quiet. Very quiet. Now, there is one interesting thing I will point out. 2 of her alternate costumes, one of them you can see on screen right now, is taken off of the Kasumi Alpha look, the other clone that showed up in Dimensions. I wonder if she is... My question is, do you think it is possible that Phase 4 may have also potentially looked at Alpha as a sister, may have seen her as someone she looked up to, seen her as someone that she aspires to be like? Maybe that's how she was, and then when Alpha became unstable and not human anymore, I have a feeling that's when she started questioning her morals of, is this correct? Is this what I am supposed to do? Is this who who I am? Is this what I am meant to be? Is there more to life than being a killing machine? That's another thing. Now, it's really difficult to say, again, it's really difficult to say what Phase 4's future can be, because of the DLC characters, she has the least amount of information on her. She is the one that, even though she's the only DLC character that actually showed up in the story mode, she has the least amount of information on her. There's not a lot known about her other than she's a clone of Kasumi, and she's very morally ambiguous. You don't know what she is. You don't know if she works with the bad guys. You don't know if she works with the good guys. You don't know if she's a rogue. The story mode kind of made it look like she was a rogue character. A character who's a lone wolf on her own. It's very ambiguous. We don't know. It's very tough to say who Phase 4 is, because even if you read some of the dialogue she says in her intros, outros, and even some of her taunts, it doesn't give much away. It just gives away, once again, that she is very morally ambiguous. We don't know what she can be. So, I have a feeling if she is brought back as the final boss, very likely her appearance will change quite drastically and resemble closer to Alpha 152. That is what I feel will happen if Phase 4 does transform into the final boss. If she is the final boss, she will transform into another version of Alpha 152. But this is, again, just speculation. Alpha 152 is obviously becoming more favored by the community now, so it wouldn't be surprising, because whether or not the fans like her or not, the dev team clearly likes Alpha. They clearly like her. Otherwise, they would not keep bringing her back in the games. Because if you played DOA 4, you would know that bitch was so overpowered, so broken, and so made you want to pull your hair out sometimes with how broken she was. So obviously the dev team sees potential in Alpha. Likely, again, probably because she didn't die in the events of DOA 4 like the other bosses did. They died in their very first game. Alpha didn't. She came back for Dimensions because it was an anniversary title, and whether or not you liked the character had nothing to do with it. They had to come back regardless. But DOA 5, they could have brought back another character if they wanted to, but they specifically chose Alpha, very likely because the dev team likes Alpha. They like her. So again, I have a feeling if she is the final boss, then Phase 4 will transform into a very similar looking character to Alpha. Mostly because it makes sense if she takes the final boss route. Because now I do have another candidate for the final boss in the next game, but I will get to that in another video. But Phase 4, I feel she will be a final boss if she takes the evil route. If she takes the I see myself as a villain. If she takes that route in character development, then she will be the final boss. That is my opinion. I feel she will be a very difficult final boss. And I have a feeling that her teleporting abilities that is heavily shown in some of the combos, I feel that Phase 4 teleporting abilities will become far more frequent than they already are. And I feel that her other abilities that haven't really been showcased will also be increased if she is upgraded to final boss. Also, if she is the final boss, that would be very interesting to see what they would change. Because, like I said, I feel they would just transform her into another version of Alpha if she takes the final boss spot again. However, if she does become the final boss and doesn't transform, that would also be very interesting to see what exactly they would do to her moveset to make her final boss ready, to make her, be a challenge. Because in the game right now, she's not any more difficult to fight than any of the other characters in the game. She's not that difficult to fight. But her moveset shows potential. Yes, I do acknowledge that there isn't much in her moveset that really differentiates her from Kasumi other than she teleports more. And a few different combos and slightly different stats, but at the moment, I don't see her being the final boss if she keeps these stats, or at least a good final boss if she keeps these stats. I feel if she is the final boss, she's going to have to step it up. She's going to have to, I'm not saying become DOA 4 alpha levels of broken, but she's going to have to step it up. She's going to have to get stronger. She's going to have to give us more of a challenge if she's the final boss. However, if she isn't the final boss, that would be very interesting to see where they would go with her character development, which again, I'm going to get into now. If she isn't a villain, if she is not a villain, then her status would be very different. I feel she would not be a boss character if she was a villain. I feel if she was a boss character... What am I saying? Boss character? No, what I mean to say is, I feel if she's a neutral character, if they go that route, then there is some form of redemption. And I feel they can increase her moveset than what it already was. And the reason I say that is, if she is a redeemed character in the series, she would be the first Kasumi clone to redeem herself, first of all. But if she redeems, I can definitely see them changing her moveset to be still similar to what she has in DOA 5, but I can also see them upgrading it to add elements of Shiden's moveset from DOA Dimension. Now, I know what you're all thinking. That's an oddball choice. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why would you pick that character? Hear me out. Shiden, even if he was only playable in that game as a secret character, his moveset was still interesting. I feel she will incorporate elements of his moveset, because if they do decide to bring her in as a redeemed character, I do have a feeling that Shiden, just from watching his personality, I feel he will have no issues with adopting her as his daughter. And he would have no issues teaching her discipline, teaching her how to control those inner urges, teaching her all of these things, it would make sense. It would make sense. It would, well, it's just an idea I have. Shiden can teach her to not be a killing machine. He can teach her how to fight against these instincts. And I feel it would make her character go in a different direction than most would predict her character to go in, but it would be a good direction if they did go this direction. Now, as I have said, none of this is confirmed. None of this that I am speaking on is confirmed. It is just my own speculation on what they can potentially do for Phase 4's future. These are just ideas I have. I feel she could incorporate some of Shiden's moves. I'm not saying all of them, but just like, a few of them, but obviously have her own twist on them. Because I feel with how she's portrayed so far, she does have potential to diversify her moveset even more. Because as it stands, she's not that different from Kasumi's gameplay style. I have played and beaten both of their training modes, and they're not that different from what I've seen. They have different stats, and they have different combos, and they have slightly different moves. But in terms of actual fighting style, they don't differ a whole lot. They are... what's the word? They're very similar, is what I'm getting at. And I feel they can do so much more. That's why I feel that her character... what's the word? That's why I feel her playstyle... could be improved. I feel there are more things they can do to it. And don't use the excuse that she is a clone character, so she has to play very similar to Kasumi. Alpha 152 is also a clone, and she plays drastically different from Kasumi. So I feel they can upgrade her moveset even more. I feel she can improve. I feel they can do more with her. I feel that she can go places with her development. I feel they can go from a character who's very morally ambiguous to a character that's very well developed. And I understand that not every character in DOA is developed. Unless you read the backstories of each character, because some of them are actually very in-depth. But backstories are for another day. Phase 4, what I feel her future is going to be. I feel her future has one of two options, as I have stated multiple times in this recording. I feel Phase 4's future relies on basically what direction they decide to go. Again, if she decides to go the evil route, then she will be the final boss. She just makes sense. Considering the final bosses we've already had in the series, it wouldn't be surprising if they wanted to bring back Alpha one last time, and the easiest way to do that would be to simply repeat the process on Phase 4, but bring back Alpha for those who liked Alpha's moveset. And the easiest way they can do that is simply transform her into something similar to what Alpha was. Because then you can bring back Alpha's moveset, but you can also give her more You can also make her go further with the moveset that she already had, on top of having Alpha's moveset, which would further give people who liked Alpha the character they want, who may not return in the next game because she is dead. She was killed in the story mode. Unless they just decide to bring back Alpha as a bonus character who has nothing to do with the storyline, like they did previously with Tengu in DOA 4. So, what I think they will do, again, if they go the evil route, she's very likely going to be the final boss. Whether or not she transforms or not is unknown. But if she does, it would develop her moveset even further, but it would keep the Alpha fans happy. It would keep the Alpha fans happy because she has... Even if Alpha does not have a die-hard fan base, Alpha has fans who, even if they don't necessarily enjoy her for her appearance or personality, they enjoy her for her moveset. Because Alpha, say what you want, she has a very unique moveset. Compared to the other Kasumi clones, she's probably the most unique one. Not only does she look visually different from Kasumi, but she also plays visually different. So it wouldn't surprise me if they took some traits from Alpha as well and incorporated it onto Phase 4's moveset. But I feel this would only happen if she took the evil route. If she took the good route, they might take some aspects from Shiden's moveset. Because as I said, I feel he can mentor her, adopt her as his daughter, and teach her, how to control those base instincts. I feel that could happen. But looking at it, I think what they're going to end up doing. I think they are going to end up taking her with the neutral route, because if she goes with the neutral route, this is probably the safest thing they can do for her at the moment, because it wouldn't change much to her character, but you can also keep her similar enough to her DOA 5 appearance, so she isn't too much more difficult to learn for the next game. That's what I feel would happen. It's one of those three options. She's either going to be... I feel it's going to be one of those three options. She's either going to be a boss. She's either going to be the final boss if they decide to make her evil. She's going to be, she's going to be mentored by Shiden if she turns good. And if she remains neutral, then not much is going to change, in my opinion. I feel not a lot will change if she decides to stay neutral. But if she goes good, that could give a potential for her moveset that way. But if she goes evil, then I feel she will simply transform into a creature similar to Alpha 152. Thus keeping the Alpha fans happy, but keeping the Phase 4 fans happy as well by mixing the two movesets together. It's really difficult to say. It is very, very difficult to say where Phase 4's development is going to go at this point. And the reason I say this is because, again, we don't have a lot of information on Phase 4. Of all the DLC characters, she has the least to work off of, because she's the only one who doesn't really have any interactions to go off of with the intros and the outros and even the tag team intros and outros and tag outs, she doesn't have a lot that really gives her more to work with. So unfortunately, this leaves her future as a very difficult one to guess. It's very tricky to guess what's going to happen for Phase 4's future because, again, as I've already said many times in this video, her future is very ambiguous. She is the only DLC character on here who originates as a DLC character. Let me explain that. I'm not counting the guest characters, and I'm not counting Rido, because Rido obviously came from earlier games, so he already has an established character. But I specifically mean the characters that originated as DLC characters, like Marie Rose, Phase 4, as you can see on screen, Neo Tengu, and Honoka. Those are the ones I'm specifically referring to. And as for Phase 4, again, of those 4 I just listed, she has the least amount to work with. She's not given hardly any information and hardly anything to work off of other than she's a Kasumi clone. There's not a lot to work off of with her because she's just left in the dark. We don't know much about her. We don't know much about where her character direction is going to go. We just know that she is very morally ambiguous. We know she is a remorseful character who feels remorse for these killings that she commits, but she can't control herself either, and she wonders why she does this. That is literally all we have to go off of her, which isn't much. It isn't a whole lot. So I feel if Phase 4 were to come back, she would probably be the character, if she was decided to have a starring role in the next storyline. I have a feeling the dev team would have the most difficulty working with her than the other DLC characters, because there's not a lot to Phase 4 at the moment. Yeah, she has a unique moveset that's similar to Kasumi's, but unique enough to count as her own. And her personality is definitely different from Kasumi's. But there's not a lot that really makes her stand out so far. So I have a feeling that she will go places in the future. And I have a feeling she, along with one other DLC character I am going to bring up in a later video, has the highest potential to return as the next game's final boss if it isn't Victor Donovan. If it isn't Donovan, or a brand new character that they pull out of nowhere, I have a feeling Phase 4, along with another DLC character, has the highest potential of being a final boss. It's difficult to really say what she can be. The most she can be is upgrade to final boss, or be mentored by Shiden. The least she can do is if she remains neutral and nothing happens. This is all I really have to say regarding Phase 4. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for future character analysis. And like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep up with my content. Thank you.